Hey guys, I'm Dov, and today I'm back with more Total War Warhammer 2 online action. Today we're taking the Empire against the High Elves. We're in for a very special battle because this is indeed an all-random gen. Both myself and my opponent have randomly generated our armies, so hence the Lance Demigryphs here, because you would pretty much never see me take these guys otherwise. So I know some of you had been requesting me take the Lance Demis, so here you go. My forces are going to be led by Balthazar GELT here. We've got some great swords with varying levels of chevrons, of course. A couple of swordsmen and 3 halberdiers. Actually a pretty balanced random generated army. I have to say, it seems like the randomly generated armies are a bit better in Game 2 compared to what they were for Game 1. Like, this army is actually not terrible. It's got some elements I wouldn't normally take, like the Lance Demis. We've also got a mortar here, so you don't get to see these guys too often. We'll see how effective it's able to be. Empire Knights, we've got some Outriders over here. Meanwhile, over here, the Silver Bullets, and I believe, yes, in the back we do have some Reichsguard as well. For the High Elves, we've got some Heralds of the Wind. Looks like a princess on a horse, dragon princess. We've got an eagle and a phoenix up in the air, scions of Mathlon, a single sword master, and 3 more units of spearmen with a lore master of Hoeth and an eagle claw bolt thrower. So lore master is actually not a bad caster to get in the random gen, just because he has a pretty good spell variety and he's able to do a lot of different things, certainly. So without further ado, let's get the battle underway here. Obviously, the Silver Bullets have stock, and this is very advantageous to me because my opponent didn't spot them right off the bat, and so I'm able to get a couple of nice volleys here with these Silver Bullets into the Illyrian Reavers, who themselves are getting some effective fire along with the Bolt Thrower into these Halberdiers, which Halberdiers at 650, actually a pretty decent target for the Illyrian Reavers to get some good value. But you can see they themselves have taken a lot of damage from those Silver Bullets. Meanwhile, the mortar is starting to land some shots. The biggest issue with the mortar is its slow fire rate and it's very inaccurate. It means that it'll be tough to make solid contact, even with units of infantry, unless you're shooting it like a massive blob or you have a ton of chevrons, neither of which are the most cost-effective thing in the world. But yeah. Couple of direct hits there, and when they do land direct hits against light troops, it will be beneficial. But you can see Balthazar GELT bringing the Lance Demis to countercharge in on these Dragon Princes, who are being a bit over-aggressive over on this flank. We also dropped a Transmutation of Lead on the ground. Unfortunately, my opponent doing exactly what she should, which is to pull back the Dragon Princes here, and the Demigryph Knights, though, still following up because of just the poor engagement here and the supporting fire from the Silver Bullets, who of course have that magic damage to cut through the physical resistance of the Dragon Princes. It is going to go in favor of the Empire. So things already not looking great for the High Elves, but they're certainly still in it. You can see they've managed to catch my Empire Knights over on this side with the Eagle and everything. I really wish they would give the Frostheart Phoenix Frostbite now that, you know, Norska's in the game. Frostbite's all over the place. It has the Blizzard aura, but it doesn't have any slowing effects, so I would really like to see Frostbite applied to the Frostheart Phoenix. I don't know, that might be a little bit OP, but looks like the Lore Master also coming to support here. The Princess and her Reavers pulling back. The Heralds of the Wind still alive with 31 unit models, which is not bad at all. Getting some effective fire on those Demigryph Knights. You can see the Eagle Claw Bolt Throwers firing away at the Halberdiers there, getting some good fire, but the Scions of Mathlon, I've just had the mortar trained on them the entire time, and it's been able to get some pretty good work done, all things considered. Outriders, unfortunately, being caught up and terrified away here by the bird squad here, so that's pretty rough, but great swords advancing. They should be able to deal with these very tattered Scions of Mathlon with a couple of more mortar shots landing in the midst there as well. A little bit of friendly fire, but meanwhile, we've got a pretty pitched infantry engagement. You can see the High Elves, unfortunately, a little bit surrounded by Empire State troops here, and the Empire Knights, after an overcast Plague of Rest, going to land home a rear charge on those Sword Masters of Hoeth, sending them tumbling, but the regrouped Dragon Princes did manage to come back online and come silence my Silver Bullets here. So despite the early losses, the High Elves still hanging around here, trying to claw their way back and starting to shut down some of the tools here. You can see the Mortars getting shut down by the Eagle. Very nice use of the Eagle there, and since my Cavalry aren't really in a position to support I'm going to have to either peel someone off or, you know, otherwise interrupt. You can see the princess does get a little bit caught up here, but the Reiksguard are going to come and see the eagle off, try and resecure the mortar. You can see the great swords had switched place with the spearmen to help take on the High Elf spearmen, and then the lance Demis is going to land home a solid rear charge here, and oh, that miscast! That just like blew some guys up straight up. Holy cow. I don't know if I've ever seen a miscast just straight up blow up infantry models around the caster, but wow, that was impressive. Anyway, you can see the princess continuing to kite Balthazar. He's actually all of a sudden really singled out because I had peeled off those Reiksguard to deal with the Grey Eagle. Suddenly Balthazar's all alone, and the princess and the dragon princes excuse me, gonna come in and deal him a pretty severe blow here. The princess on the horse has really good combat stats, of course, while the martial prowess is active. Only 50 armor, but she can do damage at a range and in melee, so Balthazar going to get chased off there. That has brought the balance of power back to even quite nicely there, despite how tattered things are looking for the High Elves. But here you can see the Swordmaster's getting finished off is going to put that back towards my favor. The Loremaster is currently surrounded by greatswords, and I mean, looks like has Wisson's Wild Form up to give him a bit of extra armor and weapon damage, but yeah, it's going to be tough just being surrounded by greatswords like this. He will take damage over time, despite the fact he's going to be able to probably rack up quite a few kills there. But yeah, at this point, Balthazar is getting chased off the side here by the princess and the few remaining dragon princes supporting her. The Eagle's trying to, the Phoenix is trying to find a place to come down. We did get some regrouped Outriders coming back, trying to resecure Balthazar here. And yeah, they're going to pop some shots at the Phoenix potentially, but my intention was really to finish off the dragon princes here. But yeah, poor Balthazar, man, he's on a barded warhorse too. Puts him at, what, 50 armor, which is same as the princess. Balthazar is actually not a terrible combatant for a caster. He doesn't have the best stats, but 43 melee defense with evasion up is not too bad. Particularly if he's up on the Pegasus, that gives him a pretty massive charge bonus. It makes him an okay combatant from charging down from the air, but unfortunately for me, he was put on the Barded Warhorse instead. But yeah, at this point, the High Elves going to regroup to make their last stand here. You can see the Princess firing in to the Reiksguard here, and the Lance Demis also going to charge in, start to do their armor-piercing work. Frostheart Phoenix, of course, does have 80 armor, so it will be somewhat resistant to the Reiksguard. The Demis should be able to finish things off there. And yeah, the Reiksguard going to come through. We've got all the supporting infantry coming forward as well. The Greatswords trying to pull away from the Loremaster, but deciding to just go ahead and countercharge back in there to keep him nice and spaced out, so that way he can't get close enough to heal any of these troops over here. And yeah, the last of the Dragon Prince is going to charge in. Only 3 of them against a full unit of Reiksguard basically means that they are going to meet their demise, unfortunately. Dragged down one by one here. And the Phoenix is going to try and come in and save them, but unfortunately a little bit too late. Demigryph Knights getting another rear charge there with their lances out. Just doing a ton of damage, and the Princess still kiting away, still trying to use up the last of her bow ammunition. But at this point, it's pretty much GG. Heralds of the Wind have regrouped, going to maybe come try and spring this Loremaster loose, but the High Elves will probably hit army losses before that happens. So well played to my opponent. Hope you guys enjoyed watching that one. It's nice and fun to get some of these random gen battles. Sometimes you get to see some units that you don't often see, like the Mortar, the Lance Demis, and so on. So yeah, that was nice and fun. Yeah, it's always nice to play the Empire as well. So yeah, we'll just grab some cinematics of the Princess kind of making her last stand here as the Reiksguard get a full surround here and pin her in, and that's going to be GG. So, well played my opponent, Regina. Hope you guys enjoyed watching. Yeah, super fun battle. The Mortars actually did okay. They got some decent kills. I mean, granted, I mean, they're not that much, what is it, like 150 points cheaper than the Scions of Mathlon, so it didn't really end up paying off, but still, you know, it's nice to have that range pressure. The Lance Demis actually did a lot better than I was expecting. Now, granted, they had some really good support from Balthazar and from the Silver Bullets there, especially in the engagement with the Dragon Princes. But they did a lot better than I was expecting. Still probably wouldn't take them in most matchups, even against the Dwarves. The biggest issue is they just get outmodeled pretty hard. They don't have quite enough unit models to really stand up, and I don't think they have splash attacks either, so they're not that good against armored infantry. They are pretty decent, but it might be worth looking at. The great swords also did quite well. Halberdiers, you know, weren't really called on to do too much. The front line I got was actually pretty solid, and you know, beyond the Swordmasters, who racked up 113 kills, the High Elves really didn't get what was needed to stand up in the front line, although 86 kills on the Loremaster himself, just tanking out in the infantry fight. The Grey Eagle was able to get some work done, taking out the Mortar and stuff. The Frostheart Phoenix is actually a pretty nice pick. You know, these guys, you see them occasionally in High Elf games, and they can be potentially very useful. The Dragon Princes, despite that early really tough engagement there with the Demis, were able to come back and shut down the Silver Bullets, so that was pretty beneficial. But yeah, overall, just the Lance Demis getting that really favorable initial engagement was really tough for my opponent. They were just kind of able to rampage on through and clean up whatever they wanted, more or less. So yeah, that was pretty tough, but well played to my opponent. Hope you guys enjoyed watching. If you do like this sort of content, be sure to like, subscribe, hit that bell notification button, so every time I upload a new video, you'll be notified. Thanks again for watching. We'll see you next time.